Hi, everyone. I think, can we start now, Prof? Prof?
Yes.
Okay. So, hi, everyone. So, welcome to our second webinar series. And this time we'll be discussing about, films, education, the state of the future of film in Malaysia with Professor Mahadi J. Murat. And the title of our webinar for today is called From the Director's Lane. Okay. So, who is our speaker for today? All right. So our speakers for today is actually Mahadi J. Murat. He's a professor. He's also an award-winning film director, award-winning scriptwriter, and cinematographer. He's a professor for film and communication studies at International University of Malaya-Wales. And he's also the founder for president for Film Directors Association of Malaysia, FDAM, and also the founder and president at Institute Kesenian and Kajian Media Malaysia. He was formerly at IUM, Astro, University of Malaya, UiTM, and many more. Okay, so some of his award-winning movies are Sayang Salmah and Wanita Bertudung Hitam. Okay, so Prof, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. Yeah.
So before we start, I'm gonna view a video to promote IUMW basically. Okay, so let me share the screen.
Chase down a brand new adventure. Step up, step out and enter in. There's no time for stalling. The wild is calling. When you risk it all, you learn to feel alive. Searching for new life. Reaching for new heights. Into the daylight. So open your eyes, we're making the climb, taking the dive, deep into the wild. Into the daylight. So open your eyes, we're making the climb, taking the dive, deep into the wild. Deep into the wild. Deep into the wild. Deep into the wild.
All right, so that's basically our university, International University of Malaya-Wales. Okay, all right. So to start off our conversation, so I believe Prof. Mahadi, the floor is yours.
Oh, yeah. Firstly, I would like to welcome everybody to this webinar series number 2, if I'm not mistaken. I think this is the right venue and opportunity for all of us, especially on a Sunday, because a Sunday is a blessing day for everybody and for all of us, and try to make good of it, no matter how little it is. But I want to talk a bit about myself with regard to anything that is related to my profession in the past. I started my career as a journalist. I was a reporter for Berita Harian a very long time ago. And after that, I was fascinated with photography. So my work as a reporter was also supplemented with my interest in photography. So by doing so, I actually choose to combine the two important aspects of the media element, that is word and picture. After being so fascinated with photography, I left this work as a reporter, but I continue working as an independent writer, writing all sort of whatever I can have my hand on, and then um, focus on photography. After becoming a photographer, suddenly I found myself work as a full-time photographer. After becoming a photographer, I happened to land a job with educational television during the mid 70s as a, as a new television station. So I was free to participate in all sort of work on the ground. And I became, suddenly I found myself to be a cinematographer. That's where I involved myself seriously in picture telling story, the moving images story. That was the beginning. After that, I after I leave ETV, then I went to various short courses everywhere, including I went to London to work and attend to the BBC Film Studio in Ealing Green, London. I was exposed with more of these work with that uh, studio. And then after some time, then I learned photography and cinematography in a proper way. And I came back to Malaysia. I become independent filmmaker. I quit educational television and worked as an independent freelance filmmaker. That's where I started. During those time, I think I did a lot of production work uh, in the film line. At that time, the visual for the television broadcast are mostly recorded on film. But the type of film used for television broadcast was, they call it reversal film. In the movie theater or in the movie industry, they use negative film. So both positive and negative. Why we use positive film? Because this positive film can be processed daily at RTM labs, whereby you process the positive film, immediately you get the positive image, and that positive image is being used on a telecine machine to use for broadcasting for television channel. But if you're making a movie in, for the movie theater, you shoot on negative images. Of the negative images, you have to process the negative, and then you have to print uh, one copy on uh, another film, and it become positive. After that, then you edit, and then you go back to the lab. The lab, then you reprint the version that you have edited, and it is graded, and then shown it to the movie theater. So that all those are experience in the early part of my career in filmmaking. After becoming an independent filmmaker, I would all work as a sort of filmer. My advantage was when I entered the industry, I was not only involved in um, as a director and scriptwriter, but also I managed to secure quite a lot of job behind the camera. This is where I really put together the important element and aspect of filmmaking, from idea to transform it into visual images. And then I attended a lot of short courses here and there. After that, I went to film school one after another until I uh, arrived at certain time and managed to experience a lot of things. And then when Astro was established in 1996, I was invited to be working with Astro and serve as the head of programming and production and commissioning. I was also the chief commissioning editor for Astro. Uh, during its initial stage. After some time, after working in Astro about 4 or 5 years, I just want to move on. Then I quit Astro. Then I go. I went to back to school. I went to did a master's degree in the University of Westminster in London. It happened at that time my family was there, living there. Then I just joined them and took a master's degree and so forth. That is a bit about my background. And then on the other front, I also involved in they call it as an activist in the film industry. As an activist, we are actually carrying the voice of the practitioner, the filmmaker on the ground. And in 1990, I did form the Film Directors Association of Malaysia. And with some friends, we registered the association and trying to put forward. In the initial stage, we were actually fighting to stop the infiltration of a lot of honky. You know honky? Honky is a filmmaker from Hong Kong who came from Malaysia and took up jobs supposed to belong to us. So they come here as a technician or whatever, as a visitors, but then they land up in the studio. It was owned by the honky people. They provide television program for RTM, TV3, and other stations, and they get this portion of job that's supposed to be us. That's one aspect. The other one is that there's also a job taken at the commercial film production. So some people they did some company they did production in Indonesia, but by using the not so Malay or Malaysian kind of face like the mixed blood faces, they can use this advertising to be broadcast or projected in movie theaters in Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore, and various other places. So this is another aspect. We also lost jobs. That was the first reason why we need to really put forward our voice, and through our fight at that day, we managed to convince the government. From that time, the immigration department, every time if somebody wants to do a filmmaking, they must get clearance from Film Directors Association of Malaysia approval first. Then only the immigration department will issue them work permit and whatever is necessary to make a job here. So in that time, our voice become louder, and we play a very important role in determining and contributing our angle of opinion. And the most important aspect is that we want to make sure there is a plan of national film development. So when FINAS was first established in 1981, that is where we make use of our position to have much dialogue. We initiate a lot of dialogue with a lot of parties to make sure that there must be a proper national film development plan at that time. So that's it. And then after some time, when the first group left the association, and everyone go on with their life, and I myself stay and I divert my attention in the academic line. Firstly, I work with the University of Malaya and then UATM. So the association was taken over by a different group of young film directors. So the idealism is different. The idealism, the direction, the objective is very much different from what we initially decided to actually do. Yeah. Yeah.
About films, in your opinion, right? What is a good film? What is a good filmmaker? Can you comment on that?
Oh yeah. To me, a good filmmaker must make a film as film. We must not make a film as roti canai or goreng pisang. Meaning, it is not about selling for popular product. Yes, we need popular product to be observed and appreciated by the audience, definitely. But the objective is to sell the idea, not to sell product for money purpose. It must not be shallow. You must have a message. You must have film as a reflection of culture, film as a reflection of idealism, of a society, of a community, of people in various places, but it must uphold humanity. This is the thing, and must have some form of national value that can be appreciated by people around the world. This is where the film content play a very important role. This is what I said. We must make film as film. We must not think about making film as a goreng pisang for you to sell, just to get the element of popularity, for example, and then uh, you know, uh, you want to be rich. It is okay to be rich, but it's good to be rich. But I think that is one reason I was mistaken, because I'm not rich after making so much travel in this line. But I'm still not. I have to still work as cari makan continuously. But I'm not. I don't regret, because the satisfaction is beyond everything else. Okay, happiness and satisfaction is the key line here that I want to enjoy doing it, especially when you can talk about your work, you can think about the impact or anything that you created can be shared. There is some kind of value that we transmit to everywhere. Even the value of humanity, for example, talk about humanity, it will touch the heart and mind of any culture, of people from any part of the world. As long as it is about humanity and it can be identified, people will appreciate it. That is why we watch this film, like the film that is being made by the Iranian or the Korean. Those people, they make their own movie. They make film as film, but the content, the substance, the issue, the culture, the information, the messages are all the element of their belonging. But this is different from many of us here. We want to be like Hollywood, you know. We want to make a Hollywood movie, action kind of thing, without any substance, without any value that can be transmitted and be appreciated by cross-cultural background of people from even people in the South Pole, the Eskimos, can understand the message. This is the point that I think is the job of a filmmaker to really focus on making film as film. By using film, we actually transmitting who we are, our level of thinking, our understanding of the given what you call authority or the blessing of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. For example, as manusia, we have this responsibility to spread good value to everybody. Of course, we talk about value and everything. Anything that is cinematic um, is is anything that is related to human value, and the using of the standard cinematic language is the approach that need to be adapted by everybody here. Okay.
Prof, lately
Yeah.
there was a lot of critical comments from the industry players about FINAS, the National Film Development Corporation. So what actually happened?
Yeah. This is quite sensitive, actually. But then I have to be true on this matter. What is happening actually um, on the part of the film practitioner? They have three associations being recognized earlier. One, the Film Directors Association. The other one, the Film Professional Association. Professional means Film Workers Association. And the other one is the Association for actors, and which they call cinema. So these three associations representing the three group of people of people that is involved in what I call in the filming. Okay, not the producer. The producer is the one that is organizing all this event. But the three group of workers in any filming, they have two issues here. Number one, it is about the job availability in the market during this pandemic, COVID-19 time now. So they want to go out having the opportunity to be working, to do their filming outdoor and everywhere. But they have problem to get approval by the National Security Council about the SOP. That there was not really an understanding between the two sides about what is the right SOP for filming work outside the studio, for example. And that is still an issue of pending. So a lot of people cannot go to work. That's the issue number one. And they blame FINAS is not doing enough to make sure that there is enough job in the market, and there is space for them to actually go continue their shooting, for example, to do the production. So this one is the issue. The other one is about the issue of recognition, the issue of accreditation. In the past, so the ruling is like this: whoever is holding the FINAS production license, if they wanted to do a filming, they must get endorsement from these three associations. Then only FINAS will release them the certificate. They call it serial perakuan pengambaran. Any producer or production company wanting to do any production must have the sijil perakuan pengambaran as a permit to do every single production. So in order for a producer to get that sijil perakuan pengambaran, these three associations must endorse those who are actually involved in the filming, in the shooting. So, but then from 1st February, FINAS doesn't want to acknowledge that anymore. FINAS don't want to recognize these three associations is the party that endorse and supporting the issue of SPP for producers, not anymore. Because FINAS is introducing now, starting from 1st February, introducing some kind of accreditation to those who want to be a practitioner. Meaning, if I want to be a practitioner, I must be accredited first to make sure my capability, my standard of knowledge is acceptable for the industry, and then only the SPP will be issued. The SPP is the shooting permit. This shooting permit, you need to pass it over to the film censor board when your filming completed. If you have this SPP, then only the film censor board will look at your film. If you don't have the SPP certificate, no, but film censor board will not accept to toughest your film. This is the problem. So now,
Prof.
yeah.
Okay, since now, because okay, the question is, since Finas, they requesting all this, all this accreditation requests and all that. What happened to, nowadays everyone's like they're looking for something quality. The audience is looking for something quality. They want something like Oscar worthy.
Yes.
So should we comply to the Finas regulations, or should we follow the international regulation? Because right now I see a lot of people, they deciding to do productions that not necessarily have to be approved by Finas, to be, for example, to be on Netflix, to be on all these international platforms. Do you have comments about that?
International platform in what way?
Because right now, if you're looking at local production, right, they need to go through censorship first, right? Okay.
Yes.
So nowadays, I've seen that a lot of directors, they've been producing movies, but they don't go through Finas. They don't go through all the censorship board. They go straight into international platform, where it doesn't have to go through national Malaysia regulations.
You mean they can come here and do shooting and then take out the film and bring back to their country?
For example, they can create a controversial type of content, shooting at Malaysia, do controversial content, and then release it internationally without go through censorship board, our local censorship.
Okay. That is a different alternative.
Mm-hmm.
The regulation is like this: anybody who is holding Finas production license
Mm-hmm.
is to apply for the SPP to make sure those working in the production is those who is recognized by Finas. In this case, if you are a local citizen and a person is accredited to be a filmmaker, for example, cameraman, director, whatsoever, then Finas will issue you the SPP certificate. Okay, this is the permit to be in the shooting area everywhere in the country. That is the shooting permit for Finas purpose. Okay, that is the okay. Now, if you have any company holding the production license from Finas, must compile with this. You have to obey this one in order for you to complete the whole thing. Okay, that is the process. If you are a license holder, but you want to have foreigner as as director or whoever in the production, you still can, because they have to ask for work permit. Okay, permission. They come to here. Anybody that working in any country must get a work permit from the country itself, immigration department, whatever. So there is a space, a room for everybody. And then you want to go back, bring back the film, whatever, back to your country. That is not the issue here. But the issue here is that we want to have a proper record. If a film made in Malaysia by Malaysian company, by Malaysian workers, there is some category that the last time there was a ruling saying that film made in Malaysia was not charged the entertainment tax for showing anywhere. So that for example, film that is made from Malaysia can have their entertainment tax sent back to the local producers. Like for example, at the same time, we need to have this data recorded to make sure how many people in the industry, how much the industry actually valued at certain time. What more during this time where almost everybody can be a filmmaker because the technology is accessible at all levels for now. Okay, like we want to talk about, if you want to relate like the last time there was an issue of this Al Jazeera or whatever. the reporter
Yeah.
came to Malaysia, and they do this coverage of a documentary on whatever about Malaysia. Okay. Um, so the issue here is that uh, Al Jazeera was appointing local company. That local company didn't have any license to operate as a film producing company. If you don't have that license, you are a local registered company, you want to do filming in this country, you must have that SPP. When you
SPP.
don't have that SPP, meaning you have a problem there. Okay. If Al Jazeera established their branch office here, for example, so they can register under two elements. Number one, they can be registered as a broadcasting company, just like TV3, RTM, and whatsoever. And this broadcasting company is governed by different law. Multimedia, whatever, uh, broadcasting registration like Astro and all those things.
Yeah.
That broadcasting company are free to actually record any material that they wanted to use um, for their work, for their channel. That doesn't matter at all now. But if you appoint a third party company, and that company is locally registered under a different company, and then there is a regulation that saying that this company is a registered production company, and there is a condition, there is a ruling that you need to fulfill with regard to the process of production, for example. Because all this ruling, basically, the intention was to make sure that local filmmakers and practitioners have their place in whatever. Again, this is the issue of the standard performance, the standard of professionalism among our practitioner, our people. That is where education, learning, and all these things is the basis of making things work here. Yeah.
Right, Prof. So I have another question.
Yes.
In which direction should the film industry in Malaysia be developed?
Pardon?
In which direction should our film industry in Malaysia be developed, Prof?
Okay. This is another issue here. Finance was first established in 1981. The idea was a national film development plan be designed, an agenda to develop national film development to be designed, meaning we need an objective. The objective here is to develop national film.
Yes.
So how do you define national film? In this case, okay, that need to be interpreted and translated clearly by those who is working in finance and those the government and the practitioners. We are talking about national film. Some people say a national film must be Malay film because we are referring to national language, national film, national culture. All these are the three components that it can be related. So we can refer to national language as the yardstick to interpret the national film. But I have different idea about what national film is about. So at present, now the issue here, if we say the national film is a Malay film using dialogue or using Malay language as a national film. But then the numbers of film produced in this country, the non-Malay film, the Indian movies and the Chinese movie is increasing quite rapidly. And some of them are very good ones, even representing the country in festival in many parts of the world. We can say that. But they're representing, and they use the name of a film from Malaysia. Okay, but the dialogue are all it's not a Malay one. It's not nothing related in Malaysia in term of you were to relate that with the Malaysian image. And at the same time, we have the Malay filmmaker gets stuck with their idealism, and they they have difficulty in coming up with a good competitive product. And then this is where the crisis appeared, and there's some political what I call element uh, that in play around this surrounding issue. Are we going to allow, like for myself, I'm a Malay, are we going to allow um, the majority, the major part of the film that reflecting the Malaysia, a film that is nothing to do with perhaps nothing, there's no element of national whatever in Malaysia. How are we going to do that? That if the numbers is increasing, then we want to really do that. I have a different opinion about it. So the authorities, particularly Pinas, must really look into this matter. When we're talking about national film, to me, um, is a straightforward thing. A national film, a film that is um, coming out from this land. Anything that come out from this land must be interpreted. Doesn't matter if it is about an old ape with his garden in certain kampong, for example. This old ape started come to Malaysia and try to develop a kebun sayur or whatsoever, and then he grew up, brought up children, and then to conflict with the people in the kampong, surrounding kampong. Initially, they just tumpang, and then later on buy the land, and that is a good story. Even the story, the verbal language is Chinese or Hokkien or whatever language. That doesn't matter because it is the story that is rooted from this land. But the bottom line here, number one, it must have a universal value. Number two, you must upheld humanity. When you use humanity and universal value, it can be appreciated by people of different culture from any part of the world. Even they are using different verbal language. That this verbal language doesn't matter at all. You look at the Korean movie, for example, the movie that won an Academy Award. What was that? Parasite
Parasite.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. They all speak Korean.
Korean.
Nobody know. But the
Yeah.
theme, the issue, the the element that is being discussed there is all about humanity, and it
Humanity.
is all about people can identify the issue and relate to their life. Doesn't matter if they don't understand the language.
The
So when we are
language.
talking
Yes.
about a national film here, we have to define this clearly. Okay. So in my opinion, the national film must be a film that is coming out from the root of this country. Doesn't matter if it is about the Chinese and Indian or the Malay. You can have
Yeah.
an Indian story from an estate, for example. But the story, the quality, the issue that is being put forward have a very, very strong human value that can be appreciated. Of course, in the content of the film, you can play around and try to uh, uh, interject it with a lot of what I call element of culture, the beauty aspect of certain cultural background. There is some. This is another element in movie making. We have. I think everybody knows about the mise en scene for cinema storytelling, images that tell story based on certain cultural background, be manipulated intelligently by filmmakers. A filmmaker is a thinker. So we need to be a thinker, high level thinker. Then this is the problem, this is the challenge. And this is why FINA's one thing that everybody involved in production to be accredited. There must be some form of guideline. I think university can play a role here to, make sure that only the thinking mind involved in production of local film in the future. University can can do this, especially our university lah.
Prof.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, education plays a part. I believe education plays a part with us moving on as a as a bigger society. So, in your opinion, how a higher education institution can play their role in providing standard and professional level education to potential industry player?
So there's two aspects here. Number one, we must have quality, um, module, quality content, and that approach must be a combination of applied kind of substance knowledge, the academic aspect, and the industry aspect. The combination of the practice and knowledge must be put together as a vehicle, as mode of studying by any university. People in the film line actually they can start work before they graduated. Say for example, you learn about script writing. You are not you won't be stopped from writing a script in your semester 2 or semester 3. Once you learn the script writing in semester 1, for example, and then you make yourself engage and interact with those in the market, in the industry. So that's how it should go. As far as the filmmaking study is concerned, this is the two things. If you go to university, you learn things in proper manner. You cannot say, oh, I don't want to go to university, I don't want to learn, because I can just work and join everybody, I can acquire skill. Industrial exposure enough for you to start working, because you also at the same time establish a connection with people in the industry. This is what most of those in the industry believe. You go to university, you only learn theory. This is what they say. I said, no, that is wrong. You go to university, you go to school, you are actually learning things in a proper manner, in a set of a complete package of knowledge. This is very important because everything is interrelated as far as knowledge is concerned. And then to get exposure with the industry, of course, this can be arranged as far as our, we were talking about our university, for example, we can have access to the industry if we have the plan. So combination of the two is most vital here. That's what I believe. We must not wait until graduating, then only you want to join the university. It is very important for us to establish consistent engagement with those in the industry, especially if there is any venue where, like a seminar, workshop, and visiting, and practical attachment, of course, and then session. We can have a session like inviting professional to our university and get a talk, and then we can also, we can arrange that. Although also the most important thing to be seen, to be obviously seen that we are serious. It's good we can establish a club for students to have their activities, and this will definitely pointing toward the end objective of trying to create a positive role for our students to be involved.
Prof.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question from a student,
Yeah.
Fatiha Hafiz. So she's asking, what do you think about the film industry now that often hire people with large amount of followers on social media that has zero acting skills and experience instead of those with actual skill but with less followers, for example? What do you think about that?
You are talking about social media producer, YouTube or YouTuber?
No, no, on TV nowadays, because there's a trend, TV3, for example, or all these channels, when they're looking for new talent, they're looking for someone with bigger social media presence instead of looking for people with, actual skills.
Okay,
So,
I think this is quite a challenge for especially graduate. You know, uh, now is the era where people trying to convince people through the interactive media. You know, the social media is the interactive media. You post your whatever you want to post, and you have to show yourself and that you are talented, and anything that is related to what you can do, and you tend to popularize that. Then you will be uh, attracted by those with certain interest. That is one way to do it. But if we went to school and really acquire proper education, and then we are quiet, we are so quiet at the social media front, you know, then nobody know us unless we produce one very strong product that really create a wave in the social media platform, whereby people suddenly see something new is in the market. Then that is where how it is it. So in other words, in this case, I think we need to plan. Those who went to film school or studying at the university, for example, you need to plan. You have to design. You have to develop your portfolio. You need to strengthen your CV. You have to have all this portfolio to be collected and ready to be assembled and be shared in the social media in a strategic manner. So I think there's this you need a class for this one. How to promote ourselves in terms of you know offering our services and that kind of thing for attention of the public. I remember there was one story by what was the story about somebody in Kelantan making a social media kind of a story, and then he made another version, the movie version, and that movie version collected million. What was the story about? Recently, you know.
yeah, I
So
also remember.
that is an example. But those in the film industry condemn the filmmaker because they said this is not film. You know what I mean? This is against those who are actually uh, spend their time studying and focus on the knowledge of to be a filmmaker. Suddenly, they are being undermined by somebody from a kampung looking at something simple, viral video kind of production. And then suddenly we are being undermined by this culture of uh, the standard of those involved in the social media practice every day. You know what I mean? Yeah, because that is the standard of our population in terms of responding to anything that is posted in the social media. Meaning, this is a challenge. We need to plan and execute our plan to overcome the challenge.
Mhm.
And we have to make sure that at the end of the day, we can prove that education is the starting point, is the real thing that we need to really pursue.
Mhm.
In fact, in life, even if we are a lecturer or we are a practitioner or those in the in profession with any big corporate organization, for example, education must come side by side with what we practice. Otherwise, we will be left behind because there's a lot of what I call unexpected, unscheduled situation happening in this line, particularly for us all in the line of media communication. Suddenly, yeah, that
Prof, I have another question from one of our lecturer, one of our new lecturer, Miss Amina Sharfina.
yeah,
So she was asking what films have been the most inspiring or influential to you and why?
to use.
Basically, she's asking about your most influential probably your most inspiring film you've seen?
The type of film that
No, I mean, do you have any types, any films that that you've watched that you feel like is very inspiring?
there's one film that I can remember now.
Mm.
There's one film by Zhang Zimao, a Chinese filmmaker, because it is very famous. The title of the film is Du Dao, Godau, Du Dao, Zhang Zimao. That is one example of a very good film. It talks about their culture, their value, and it's being told cinematically using the approach of the cinematic storytelling in the right way. The balance of audio, visual, dialogue, and images that is being put strategically, and they use symbolic kind of visual to express the narration, the narrative element in the movie. So Judo is one of a very good example to me because it is cinematic and it contains value that every culture can appreciate. And that's the film Judo. Yeah.
Also, okay, there's another question by Fatihah and Sarfahana. Basically, they were asking, do you think Malaysian films are capable to reach international level and be as big and good as films that is made in Hollywood?
Film Malaysian film can be. We're not talking about international uh, international market or whatever. We cannot. We must be clear here. We are not talking about duplicating the Hollywood kind of international version of film, what they call being accepted at international level. We are talking here about the quality of product that can be appreciated by um, the world community, universally appreciated by all cultures. That is the one. It's not about the market. Market, of course, the strong market. Even the most popular Korean film, for example, they are still facing issue of uh, having popular film to be shown in America, for example. You cannot go popular in that manner. We need to be popular through the quality and the content of the film. Okay, uh, because the system of Hollywood has control the network of marketing network in all over the world. Okay, for me, if we were to look at the right model for Malaysian film, for example, we have to look at Korea is the right one. Because Korea market their product based on what they own. They based on their own culture, their own story, their own. But they go multiple approaches. Korean produce popular product. At the same time, they also produce film that is high in quality to compete to create an impact in festival. So they have these two things. They have to, and the way they enter, they use television channel to popularize their popular product. Stories about young people, stories about love, stories about all sort of things through television production. Television is the right channel for us to try to popularize our product. If we were to have a very good film, there was an attempt by a few producers in Malaysia, in fact, with Pina support the last time. They want to make a film about certain thing, duplicating the Hollywood film, but that nobody care about your film. You want to duplicate that Hollywood kind of product. We cannot enter the Hollywood market even if we are to copy Hollywood product. We just cannot. The only model that Malaysia had been successful all this while is only one film. What is that film? If you can, the only one product from Malaysia that is being accepted is only one, all this while, after 40 years of finance,
Okay,
is Upin and Ipin.
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. Why
True.
Ipin and Ipin is accepted by other people? Because there is no comparison with Hollywood or any other culture. It stands on its own
On its
to
own.
reflect our own value.
True.
That's why it was expanded, appreciated by all festival, market everywhere. You know, the most
Yeah.
popular animation film in this region is only Ipen and Ipen. Ipen and Ipen go to China. Ipen and Ipen go
Indonesia.
to America. Ipen and Ipen go to Africa, Indonesia, everywhere.
Yeah.
All part of it. There is no competition in terms of the product. These are the kind of things that we must do. We must produce our own
Our own
image,
story.
our own content,
Yes.
our own content, our own image, and stand from there. This is what about national film. We are talking about national film. These are the things that we need to focus. Just like the Korean. The Korean produced a lot of films. I remember one very popular Korean television. The last time, the old time, there was a story about what? The love story, this Korean television. What was the story about?
Winter Sonata?
Winter Sonata, yeah.
Yes.
That is when you were very young, lah.
Yes.
And that's what there's a film, there's a film called a serial called Jewel in the Palace. There's a Jewel in the Palace. It's a story in the palace where you have the Korean traditional dressing, all the pakaian labo-labo was
Traditional.
shown in the movie. And that film goes side by side with Winter Sonata. And that's how they penetrate slowly. You know what I mean? These
Yes.
are the things, how people plan and trying to develop their national cinema in such a way to make sure they have a place and they can penetrate the market slowly and with them. So the Korean people are doing popular product. At the same time, they also produce content of substance based on their own culture, their own value. This is what it is. And then the third time now they attempt to enter festival, knocking at festival door, and they won that award. The only time when the Oscar given a best film award
Yep.
to a non-English speaking film, the first time. So they go by three angles. All this needs strategy and knowledge. So that is why we need to spread this, especially in university. We need to spread the right learning about film. Make film as film. We don't make film trying to sell goreng pisang, or we want to talk about box office market or anything. Of course, you need this box office what you call market hit in the box office. But then let's make film as film first, and then you think about box office. That's the thing. I believe the same thing, but it's not easy.
Okay, Prof. There's one question from Dr. Mastura. She's from UPM. And her question would be, how do you see the industry in 10 years' time based on your observation?
What?
How do you see our industry in 10 years' time based on your observation?
We were talking about the present time.
Mhm. Yeah.
We are at a junction. At a junction. A junction can be mistaken. We might be going through different route, a wrong route, or we might be going into the right route. What I'm saying here is that the emphasis here must be on the content.
True.
Content which is ours. Number two, we must master the technology. Okay, we must master the technology. With technology and the content, we can be at par with other players or other part of the world. This is the thing. But the main point here that when we are talking about movie, we are not talking about the same old kind of movie production. The definition of film has changed. with the latest technology, the digital technology has made changes on the definition of the film or the cinema product has changed. You go to the movie theater, they don't want this, they don't use film anymore. Technologically, they don't have that film anymore. They are using what you call a DCP kind of material for projection in the movie theater. Movie theater nowadays they don't have projector like before. They only use video player where they call it a DCP, digital cinema product uh, video for them to just project the image on this. All these are technology. And the second one is that there's a new thing here, which they call the virtual cinema. The virtual cinema is is coming slowly. Now we have the virtual cinema. Normally is being spread through the satellite, like the one that Astro First is now projecting. They use the meaning pay-per-view kind of film that you watch through a screen that is being projected through what I call the satellite. And then the other one, IPTV, Internet Protocol Television. And this IPTV, now we have this accessible like the one that is being provided by Netflix, for example. We watch film, the real film in through Netflix using the Internet Protocol system that we watch all these good film everywhere. So that sort of thing. Later on, people don't go to the cinema anymore. If they go to the cinema will be controlled through satellite or IPTV, and then finally it becomes something that make the challenge for us. So as far as we are concerned here, Malaysians should prepare themselves to capture the opportunity and manipulate the technology to make sure we have a proper plan to really coming up with the right product for film as something that that being observed by many culture people from across the world, for example. Yeah.
Okay, Prof, there's a question from Shahril. How movies can encourage our tourism and bring huge profits to the national budget?
Tourism.
Tourism, yeah.
Yes. Because there's two ways of tourism that we can make use of movie as a source of attracting tourism in this case. This is another like films such as documentary, for example. When we talk about tourism, the richness of our culture, this is the value that we need to film to make sure that it can be seen by people from different parts of the world. When we talk about film as a product of tourism attraction, it's all about the content that touch the heart and mind of the target group. Film objective is to convey something that touch the heart and mind of the audience. Doesn't matter what it is, but as long as it touch the heart and mind of the audience, you can pull the audience to get close to the source. And mind you, this is happening to me and to everybody. Once you encounter with something attractive in anywhere, we tend to Google the more information about that one information through the internet, and by having that information, we later on we have more knowledge about the issue in point, and at the same time we can make a decision whether we want to come and visit the place and that sort of thing. But a small people like us, for example, we can just make a short documentary about something, especially some kind of thing that is close to us, like talking about a short documentary, 5-10 minutes about cooking certain kind of food, for example, and some carpentry work that is really special done by somebody we know. Maybe these are the small elements in play now. You can use all the platform to make use of it. But then all this need to be planned and really think of, and then the design to make sure the idea is um, observed and attracted by the audience. Doesn't matter where the audience come from. We have almost everybody, all of us can have this what I call opportunity to share our visual images to make sure that we convey the right thing for the visual.
Prof, I believe we've passed 1 hour already. So perhaps
Oh
do
yeah.
you have any last word before we move on to the next session?
Oh, we got another question.
No, I mean we're gonna preview our program, so
Okay, okay,
I have
okay.
to have a last word to
I
tie.
think, yeah, I think I want to relate a bit about studying in university. Anybody wanting to be a filmmaker, no matter what kind of work they want to be involved in filmmaking. Filmmaking is about telling or selling what you know. So, telling or selling what you know is about knowledge. Okay, when I talk about knowledge, it is about knowledge in general. It's not only about knowledge about filmmaking. Filmmaking knowledge is only one thing, but the general knowledge, the standard of thinking that we have, is the one that is valuable in any form of filmmaking. In fact, in life, we must have knowledge. So, in order to have knowledge, let's go to school or attending workshop, and particularly come to IUMW. You can have a chit chat and try to share whatever we have. Uh, Even if we are not a student, we just come and we have a chit chat and share what we have, and still we can gain something. And that is a route to choose. You have to choose some kind of thing. It can be made possible as far as learning in filmmaking is concerned, because everybody is engaged in this line almost every day, uh, 24 hours a day to talking about filmmaking on production whatsoever. Okay.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Prof, for the very entertaining and very informational webinar today. Before we move on to the preview, can everyone turn on their camera so I can take pictures? Just for a quick seconds. Hi, He.
I got a lot of return chat here. We haven't got enough time to go through.
Yeah, that's from Sharil.
Maybe
Yeah, there's a lot of questions actually.
yeah.
Okay. Smile, everyone. 1, 2. Oh, wait. What happened? Okay. One more. 1, 2.
What is it?
Thank you. Got it. Okay. Okay. In that case, can we move on to our preview, Miss Safrina?
All right, let me share my screen. All right. Right, so this is the Master of Arts Professional Communication. You know our IUMW history. We have our parent university from University of Wales and University of Malaya. So our program overview, we are industry driven. We have broad opportunities. We do have quality teaching lecturers teaching for this program, and as well as a real world case study. And these are the benefits if you are registering your Master of Professional Communication with us. It is MQA accredited program. Weekend classes, we only have 7 live classes. We do not have any final exam. It's only 100% assessment taught by our professional and industry experts. And the minimum of to earn a master is only for 3 semesters. All right. So why do we need to earn a master's in communication studies? Because we do offer interesting subjects and you can pursue exciting careers as well as you can develop many new skills. All right. So these are the delivery mode for our MPC program. It's only for 1.5 years, 3 semesters. And we are using online platform. We are using Zoom, Google Meet, and as well as open learning platform. And this would be our syllabus. This is for subjects for semester 1. We have communication theories, Profcom, organizational communication, IMC, and many more. So this is for semester 1. So these would be our semester 2 subjects and also our semester 3. We do have 2 research papers, GRP1 and GRP2. This would be our academic team profile. We have here our Dean, Dr. Nurul Nisa Omar, and also Professor Dr. Mahadi J. Murat, as well as Madam Cik Nur Amalina, and our head of school, Mr. Muhammad Shawal, and myself as the program coordinator. And why you need to study Master of Arts Professional Com? Because we are engaging, we have leadership and people management, you can stand out in the crowd, thought leadership, you can make a lot of networking, as well as, this is the statistic of expected job growth. We have 1.12 million employment rate, a wide range of industry, as well as demand growing faster than any other occupation. All right, so these are our alumni are working. We have our alumni working in Petronas, RHB Bank, Asia, and so many more places. All right. So these are our alumni. One of our alumni, Miss Joanna Abdul Rahim, she works in Gallery Petronas in the art engagement unit, and also Mr. Wadi Asaf. He's the now part-time lecturer at An-Najah National University Palestine, as well as business owner of several business startup. All right, so that's it for our program. Back to you, Mr. Shawal.
Thank you so much, Ms. Safrina. So everyone else, if you have any question for our program or for our anything about our program, you can just use the chat box. For the rest, thank you so much for joining today. Thank you, Prof. Mahadi, for joining us and for giving a talk.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Everyone, and have a good Sunday.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone,
And
for
all the
joining
best.
us.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
I would be cool. They'd say I
Bye.
played the field before I found
Thanks, Prof.
someone.
Bye.